In a vibrant neighborhood, the sun shone brightly over a small playground filled with the joyful sounds of children laughing and playing. Parents chatted on benches while their kids ran around, swinging on swings and climbing on jungle gyms. Among them was a curious little girl, only 5 years old. She wore a bright pink dress and a matching headband, her ponytails bouncing as she dashed after a colorful butterfly fluttering by. As she chased the butterfly, her laughter filled the air, but soon, she found herself further away from her friends and family. When she finally stopped to catch her breath, she looked around and realized she didn't recognize her surroundings. A wave of panic washed over her. The playground, once filled with friendly faces, suddenly felt overwhelming and foreign. Feeling lost, she took a few hesitant steps, her heart racing. "Where is everyone?" she whispered to herself, hoping to spot a familiar face in the sea of strangers. The cheerful voices that once surrounded her now seemed distant, and a knot formed in her stomach. Just then, a man noticed her standing alone, a sly smile creeping onto his face. This man, appearing friendly at first glance, had a dark aura about him. He was dressed casually, but there was something unsettling in the way he looked at her. He approached with a false sense of charm, bending down to her level. "Hey there, little one," he said, his voice dripping with sweetness. "Why are you all alone? Don't worry, I can help you find your parents." As he spoke, he pulled out a shiny piece of candy from his pocket, holding it out toward her. "I have candy. Would you like some? I know where your mom and dad are." His words were like a tempting melody, and for a moment, the little girl hesitated, glancing at the candy. But just then, another child, a boy who was a little older, watched the scene unfold from a distance. He had been playing nearby and recognized the little girl. He could sense something was off and felt a sudden rush of determination. He had been taught about the dangers of strangers and knew he couldn't just stand by. The boy took a deep breath and approached them, feeling a mix of fear and courage. "Hey, you shouldn't talk to him," he shouted, his voice strong and clear. "Come here. Let's go back to the playground together." The girl looked at him, her eyes widening with relief. The stranger frowned, his charming facade cracking. "You should mind your own business," he said, trying to regain control of the situation. But the boy stood firm, positioning himself protectively in front of the girl. "We need to go back to our friends. Come on," he urged, reaching out a hand toward her. The girl, feeling empowered by his bravery, took his hand. Together, they turned away from the man, their hearts racing as they prepared to run back to safety. The man, realizing his plan was failing, took a step forward, but the boy shouted louder, calling for help. The urgency in his voice drew the attention of nearby adults. A park ranger, who had been monitoring the playground, quickly rushed over. "What's going on here?" he demanded, assessing the situation. The children explained everything, and the ranger immediately confronted the man, demanding he leave the area. As the stranger backed away, the weight of the moment began to lift from the children's shoulders. The boy and the girl stood together, their hearts still pounding, but now feeling a sense of relief. They knew they were safe. The ranger knelt down, looking into the girl's eyes. "You did the right thing by staying with your friend," he said gently, reassuring her. She nodded, grateful for the boy's bravery. In that moment, a strong bond formed between them, one that would carry them through the rest of the day. The playground, once a place of anxiety, transformed back into a joyful haven, filled with laughter and happiness once more. After the park ranger ensured that the little girl was safe and the strange man was gone, a sense of calm settled over the playground. The bright colors of the swings and slides felt welcoming again. The children who had been playing nearby began to gather around, curious about what had just happened. The little girl, still holding the older boy's hand, felt a rush of gratitude toward him. She had never met someone who stood up for her like that before. "Thank you for helping me," she said softly, her voice still a little shaky. The boy smiled back at her, feeling proud. I just did what I was supposed to do. It's always good to stick together." He was pleased to see her smile, and it made him feel like a hero in that moment. As they walked back to the playground, the ranger walked alongside them, making sure they felt safe. He told them both how brave they had been and how important it is to look out for one another. "You two make a great team," he said with a warm smile. The girl beamed at this praise, her earlier fear fading away. The boy had a feeling of happiness swelling in his chest. He had acted quickly when it mattered the most, and now he felt even more confident. They reached the swings, where other kids had gathered, eager to play again. The atmosphere was lively, with laughter ringing out, and soon the two new friends joined in, swinging high into the air. "Look at me," the girl shouted, giggling as she swung back and forth. "I can go really high." The boy pushed her gently, encouraging her to swing even higher. "Just hold on tight. You're doing great." Their laughter echoed through the playground, drowning out the earlier tension. After a while, they decided to take a break and sat down on the grass under a large tree. "What's your name?" the boy asked, curious about the girl who had captured his heart with her bravery. She smiled shyly and said, "I'm just glad I met you today. I didn't want to be alone anymore." Feeling a strong connection, the boy opened up too. "I'm glad I saw you. I wouldn't want to let anything happen to you." They both realized that this day had turned into something special, a day they would remember forever. It was more than just a fun day at the playground. It was about friendship and bravery. As the sun began to set, casting a golden light over the playground, the girl and the boy shared stories about their favorite games and dreams. They talked about their favorite colors and what they wanted to be when they grew up. The boy loved superheroes, and the girl loved animals. They promised to play together every day from now on. Soon, the girl spotted her parents rushing toward her, their faces filled with worry. She jumped up, waving her arms excitedly. "Mom, Dad, I'm okay." Her parents rushed to her side, wrapping her in a tight hug. They thanked the boy for looking after her, their relief evident. The boy felt a warm glow of happiness. He had done something good, something that mattered. As they said their goodbyes, the girl turned to the boy and said, "I'll see you tomorrow, right?" He nodded, feeling a sense of anticipation. "Yeah, same time, same place." They exchanged big smiles, knowing they had formed a bond that would only grow stronger. The boy walked home with a spring in his step, replaying the events of the day in his mind. He felt like he had done something important, and he couldn't wait to tell his family about his new friend and how they had saved each other in a way. That day at the playground had turned into a beautiful story of courage, friendship, and the importance of always looking out for one another. The next day, the sun rose brightly over the neighborhood, signaling a beautiful day ahead. The little girl could hardly contain her excitement as she got ready to go to the playground. She put on her favorite dress, a bright yellow one that swirled around her as she twirled. She rushed down the stairs, her heart racing with anticipation. Would her new friend be there? Would they have more adventures together? When she arrived at the playground, she scanned the area, searching for the boy who had saved her the day before. Her heart skipped a beat when she spotted him already playing on the swings. He was swinging high, his laughter ringing out like music. She waved excitedly, and he noticed her right away. His face lit up with a big smile, and he jumped off the swing, running to meet her. "Hey, you made it," he exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with happiness. "I was hoping you would come." The girl felt a warm flutter in her stomach, grateful that he was just as excited to see her. "Of course. I couldn't wait to come back," she replied, her voice full of energy. "What do you want to play first?" They decided to start with a game of tag. The girl chased the boy around the playground, their laughter echoing off the nearby trees. They zigzagged through the swings and slid down the slide, their joy filling the air. Time seemed to fly as they played, lost in their own world of fun and friendship. After a while, they took a break, sitting side by side on the grass, trying to catch their breath. You know, the boy said, looking thoughtful, I think we should always watch out for each other. Just like yesterday. The girl nodded in agreement. Yes, I feel safe with you. I really appreciate what you did for me. You're my hero. His cheeks turned a little pink, and he shrugged with a shy smile. It was nothing. I just did what felt right. But inside, he felt proud and happy that she thought of him that way. They chatted more about their favorite games, discovering they both loved playing pretend. The boy suggested they could be superheroes, saving the day like they had done the day before. I'll be the strong superhero, and you can be the clever one, he said with enthusiasm. Okay, but you have to let me come up with the plan to catch the bad guys, she replied, her eyes twinkling with excitement. With their superhero roles established, they ran around the playground, pretending to chase imaginary villains. They worked together, coming up with creative ways to outsmart the bad guys and save the day. The other children watched them, intrigued by their playful energy, and soon a few of them joined in the fun, turning the playground into a bustling scene of heroic adventures. As the day went on, they took turns being the hero and the sidekick. The girl devised clever plans to outsmart the villains, while the boy used his strength to act out daring rescues. They climbed the jungle gym, leaped from the swings, and ran in circles, their imaginations guiding their every move. Eventually, they decided to take a break again, lying on the grass and gazing up at the clouds. Look at that one. It looks like a dragon. The girl pointed, her eyes wide with wonder. The boy squinted, trying to see the dragon, and then they began to spot other shapes, each one sparking their creativity and laughter. As they shared stories about their dreams, the girl said she wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up, so she could help animals. The boy revealed his dream of becoming an astronaut, imagining flying among the stars and discovering new worlds. They talked about what it would be like to explore space and save animals in need, combining their dreams into a fantastic adventure. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the playground, they both felt a sense of happiness that came from having a true friend. They promised to meet again the next day, excited about the adventures that awaited them. With hearts full of joy, they waved goodbye, knowing they had each other's backs, just like true superheroes. The next day arrived with a clear blue sky, and the little girl woke up with excitement bubbling inside her. She could hardly wait to meet her friend at the playground again. After breakfast, she slipped into her favorite outfit, a bright blue t-shirt and comfy shorts. As she rushed out the door, she thought about all the fun they would have. Maybe today they could pretend to be explorers. When she reached the playground, she was happy to see her friend already waiting for her by the swings. He waved eagerly, his face lighting up when he saw her. You made it. I was worried you wouldn't come, he said, relief washing over him. Of course, I wouldn't miss it. She replied with a bright smile. What should we explore today? They both thought for a moment. How about we explore the jungle of the playground? He suggested, pointing toward the climbing structures that resembled tall trees. Great idea. We can be adventurers looking for hidden treasures, she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. With their mission set, they began to explore the playground, moving carefully as if they were in a real jungle. They climbed over the jungle gym, pretending it was a mountain, and crept through the tunnels like sneaky animals. They took turns being the leader, guiding each other through the imaginary jungle filled with excitement and wonder. As they explored, they stumbled upon hidden treasures scattered around the playground, shining rocks, colorful leaves, and even a few forgotten toys. Every time they found something, they would cheer and celebrate as if they had discovered real treasure. Look at this shining rock. It must be a magical gem, the girl shouted, holding it up proudly. They decided to create a treasure map to keep track of their discoveries. The boy found some sticks and started drawing on the ground, making a map of the playground. This is where we found the magical gem, and over here is the cave, he said, pointing to imaginary spots on their map. Just then, they heard giggles nearby. A group of younger kids watched them, captivated by their game. "Can we play too?" one of them asked, looking hopeful. The girl and the boy exchanged excited glances. "Of course. The more, the merrier," he replied. They welcomed the younger kids into their adventure, explaining the rules of their game and sharing the treasure map. As they played together, the group transformed the playground into a wild jungle filled with laughter. They all took turns pretending to be explorers, searching for treasures and avoiding dangerous animals, like the imaginary crocodiles lurking in the grass. After a while, they decided to have a picnic to celebrate their successful expedition. The girl had brought some snacks, peanut butter sandwiches, and juice boxes. The boy shared his favorite fruit, apples, and they all sat together on the grass, enjoying their treats. "Do you think we could find real treasure one day?" one of the younger kids asked, munching on his apple. "I think we already have," the girl said, looking around at her friends. "Friendship is the best treasure of all." Everyone nodded in agreement, smiling at the thought. They spent the rest of the afternoon playing, laughing, and sharing stories about their favorite adventures. The sun shone down, and they felt warm inside, knowing they were all friends united in their fun. As the day began to wind down and the sun dipped lower in the sky, the girl and the boy noticed their parents calling for them. They felt a little sad that their adventure was ending, but also happy for the wonderful day they had shared. "We should do this again tomorrow," the boy suggested, and everyone cheered in agreement. They all promised to meet again the next day, eager for more adventures and treasures to discover. As the girl waved goodbye, she felt a warm glow in her heart. She knew that together, they could turn any ordinary day into something magical, filled with fun, friendship, and a spirit of adventure. The next day dawned bright and cheerful, with the sun shining high in the sky. The little girl woke up feeling excited. She couldn't wait to see her friends again at the playground and embark on another adventure. After breakfast, she quickly put on her favorite outfit, a fun purple dress with sparkly shoes. Today felt special, and she wanted to look her best for the day ahead. As she raced to the playground, she imagined all the fun they would have. Would they explore the jungle again or pretend to be pirates searching for treasure? Her mind buzzed with possibilities. When she arrived, she was greeted by the sight of her friends already playing together. They were laughing and chatting near the swings, and her heart soared with happiness. "Hey, you're here," one of her friends called out, waving excitedly. "We were just talking about what to play today." The girl ran over to join them, her energy contagious. "What if we pretend to be pirates today? We can look for treasure on the high seas," she suggested, her eyes wide with enthusiasm. "Yes, let's do it," another friend shouted, jumping up and down with excitement. They all agreed to become pirates, ready to set sail on an imaginary adventure. The group quickly formed a plan. They gathered around a big tree that they decided would be their pirate ship. They used their imaginations to transform the tree into a magnificent vessel, complete with sails made from leaves and ropes made from twigs. Each of them took on a pirate name, laughing as they created fun identities for their characters. "Captain," one of the boys called, pretending to salute the girl. "What are our orders?" The girl laughed and replied, "First, we need to find our map. We can't sail without it." They began searching around the playground, pretending to look for clues. As they dug through the sand and peered behind bushes, they discovered a stick shaped like a sword. The girl held it up triumphantly. "Look, our pirate sword. This will help us defend our ship." With their sword in hand and no treasure map in sight, they decided to set sail anyway. They all pretended to climb aboard their ship, ready to embark on a great adventure. "All hands on deck," the girl shouted, and they all mimicked pulling on imaginary ropes and adjusting sails. They sailed through the seas of the playground, pretending to navigate through rough waters. "Watch out for storms," one of the boys shouted as they all swayed back and forth, making sounds like crashing waves. They laughed and screamed as they faced their imaginary dangers, united in their thrilling journey. After a while, they came to a deserted island, which was simply a small grassy area nearby. They jumped off the ship and declared, "This is where we will find our treasure." They began digging in the dirt, using their hands to search for buried treasure. Just then, one of the younger kids yelled, "I found something." He held up a shiny piece of foil that had been discarded. "Look, it's treasure." The girl and her friends gathered around, cheering as if they had found a real treasure chest. They decided that everything they found could be part of their pirate loot. They collected shiny rocks, leaves, and even a small toy that had been left behind by another child. Each item was a piece of their pirate treasure. Feeling victorious, they returned to their pirate ship, ready to celebrate. They imagined sharing their treasures with the other pirates and having a grand feast. "Let's pretend we're having a big party with food and games," one of them suggested. They all agreed, their imaginations running wild with the thought of a pirate celebration. As they pretended to feast on their treasures, the sun began to set, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink. The girl felt grateful for the amazing day they had shared. She looked around at her friends, who were laughing and enjoying themselves, and realized how much fun it was to play together. Eventually, as the playground began to empty, the girl knew it was time to go home. She felt a little sad to leave, but also excited about all the adventures they would have in the future. "Let's do this again tomorrow," she said, and her friends all nodded enthusiastically. With smiles on their faces, they promised to meet again the next day, ready to continue their pirate adventures and discover even more treasures together. As she waved goodbye, the girl walked home with a heart full of joy, knowing that each day brought new adventures with her friends. She couldn't wait to see what tomorrow would bring. The sun rose the next morning, casting a warm golden light across the neighborhood. The little girl woke up with a smile, her heart racing with excitement for another day at the playground. She quickly got dressed in her favorite rainbow t-shirt and shorts, ready for another adventure with her friends. She had a feeling today would be extra special. After breakfast, she hurried outside, her feet moving quickly along the path to the playground. As she approached, she saw her friends already gathered, laughing and talking. It filled her with joy to see their smiling faces. "Hey, everyone," she called out, waving her arms in the air. "Hi, we were just waiting for you," one of her friends replied, bouncing with energy. "We have a new game to play today." Curious, the girl jumped in closer. "What's the game?" The boy with the bright cap said, "We're going to play a huge game of hide and seek. But it will be extra special because we're going to pretend the playground is a giant forest." The girl's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing. Let's do it." Everyone agreed and gathered together to decide how the game would work. They set the rules. One person would count to 20 while everyone else would hide. They would be sneaky forest animals trying to avoid being found by the seeker. The girl was chosen to be the first seeker. She closed her eyes and counted loudly. 1, 2, 3. As she counted, her friends scattered in different directions, giggling as they tried to find the best hiding spots. When she reached 20, she shouted, "Ready or not, here I come." She opened her eyes and began her search, peeking behind the swings and under the slides. She felt like a real forest explorer, looking for hidden animals in the wilderness. Her heart raced as she looked around, trying to spot her friends. After a few moments, she noticed a giggle coming from behind a tree. She turned and ran toward the sound, but her friend was quick and darted away, laughing as they ran. "Come back, little bunny," she called, chasing after her friend. The game was exhilarating. The girl loved the thrill of the chase and the laughter that filled the air. As she continued searching, she found another friend crouching behind a bush, trying to stay quiet. "Gotcha," she exclaimed, pointing at them with a smile. They both burst into laughter as her friend surrendered, joining her as the next seeker. With each round, they switched roles, and the laughter never stopped. The playground felt like a magical forest where anything could happen. They pretended to be all sorts of animals: sneaky foxes, hopping rabbits, and even wise old owls. Each round of the game brought new excitement, and the kids were filled with joy. After a while, they took a break to catch their breath, sitting on the grass in a big circle. The sun was warm on their skin, and the gentle breeze felt refreshing. "This is the best day ever," one of the girls said, smiling at everyone around her. The boy with the bright cap nodded. "I love how we can pretend to be anything. We should have a forest party later." Everyone cheered at the idea. They began to discuss what a forest party would look like. "We could gather leaves and flowers to decorate," the girl suggested. "And we could make up stories about our animal friends." Their imaginations sparked as they brainstormed ideas. They decided to make it a fun gathering, where each friend would bring something to share. It could be snacks, games, or even stories from their pretended ventures. With plans for the forest party set, they continued playing hide and seek for a little longer. The energy among them was infectious, and the sound of laughter filled the playground. They felt like a family, united in their games and stories. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with beautiful hues of orange and pink, the children knew it was almost time to go home. They were tired but happy, filled with wonderful memories from the day. "Let's meet here tomorrow and have our forest party," the girl suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Everyone nodded in agreement, their smiles wide and cheerful. As they said their goodbyes, the girl walked home feeling content. She thought about how much fun they had and how lucky she was to have such amazing friends. The playground was not just a place to play. It was where they shared their imaginations, laughter, and dreams. The next day promised to be another adventure, and she couldn't wait to see what stories and fun awaited them at their forest party. With her heart full of joy, she looked forward to the magic that tomorrow would bring. The next morning, the little girl woke up feeling a rush of excitement. She jumped out of bed and dressed quickly, choosing a bright green shirt that matched her cheerful mood. Today was the day of the forest party, and she could hardly wait to see her friends and celebrate all their adventures together. After breakfast, she packed a small backpack with her favorite snacks, some cookies and fruit. She also grabbed a few colorful leaves she had collected from her backyard to use as decorations for the party. With everything ready, she ran to the playground, her heart racing with anticipation. When she arrived, she saw her friends already gathered under the big tree that they had transformed into their pirate ship just days before. Everyone looked excited, and they greeted her with happy smiles. "You made it," one of her friends exclaimed. "We've been waiting for you to start the party." "Let's get started," she replied, bouncing on her toes. "I brought some snacks and decorations." The group cheered, eager to begin. They all gathered around the tree and began to set up their forest party. The girl laid out her snacks, and others brought out their contributions too. Some friends had brought sandwiches, while others had fruit and juice boxes. Together, they created a colorful spread on the grass, ready for everyone to enjoy. As they prepared, they hung the leaves they had collected from the branches of the tree, transforming their meeting spot into a beautiful forest setting. "Look how pretty it looks," one of the boys said, stepping back to admire their work. Once everything was set up, they sat in a circle on the grass, eager to dig into the tasty treats. "Let's share stories about our favorite adventures," the girl suggested. Everyone nodded excitedly, ready to share their tales. One by one, they took turns sharing stories. The girl began, telling everyone about the time they pretended to be explorers and discovered a hidden cave in the playground. She described how they found all the shiny rocks and how much fun they had playing together. After her story, another friend shared a funny tale about a time they played hide and seek and accidentally ended up hiding behind a bench where a puppy was sleeping. "I thought I would scare it away, but it woke up and started licking my face." He laughed, and everyone joined in, chuckling at the image. As the stories continued, they learned about each other's favorite games and the adventures they had experienced, both at the playground and beyond. They spoke about family trips, visits to the zoo, and special moments with friends. Each story was filled with laughter, joy, and the warmth of friendship. When it was time for snacks, everyone dove into the delicious food. They munched on sandwiches and cookies while chatting happily. "These cookies are the best," someone said, and they all agreed, sharing the treats and enjoying every bite. After the feast, they decided to play a game to keep the fun going. "Let's play a game of Simon Says," one of the girls suggested. "That way, we can keep being silly after eating." They all gathered around again, and the game began. Simon Says, "Jump like a kangaroo." The kids jumped up and down, laughing as they bounced around like kangaroos. The game continued with all sorts of fun commands, and the playground echoed with their laughter. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, they played until they were tired but happy. They felt a deep sense of connection with one another, knowing that these moments would become cherished memories. Finally, it was time to pack up and head home. The girl felt a mix of happiness and sadness as they began to say goodbye. This was the best forest party ever, she declared, her face glowing with joy. "Let's do it again soon." Everyone agreed, promising to meet again for more adventures and fun. As they waved goodbye, the girl walked home, her heart full. She thought about how special it was to have friends who shared in the joy of play and imagination. Every day was a new adventure, and she couldn't wait to see what tomorrow would bring. With a smile on her face, she felt grateful for the laughter, stories, and memories they had created together. Life was so much brighter with friends by her side, and she knew their adventures were just beginning. The following morning arrived, and the little girl woke up feeling bright and cheerful. The sun was shining through her window, and she couldn't help but smile as she thought about the wonderful day ahead. Today, she and her friends planned to visit the nearby park, which had a big pond, a playground, and even a small hill for rolling down. She quickly got dressed, choosing a sunny yellow dress that made her feel like a ray of sunshine. After breakfast, she grabbed her backpack, making sure to pack some snacks and a small blanket to sit on. She could hardly contain her excitement as she hurried to meet her friends at the playground. When she arrived, she was thrilled to see everyone waiting for her, ready for the adventure at the park. "Are you all set?" one of her friends asked, bouncing on their feet. "Yes, I can't wait to see the pond," she replied, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. They all started walking together, chatting and laughing as they made their way to the park. The sound of birds chirping filled the air, and the gentle breeze made the leaves dance in the trees. It felt like a perfect day for an adventure. When they reached the park, they ran straight to the pond. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and ducks were swimming happily, quacking as they splashed about. "Look at the ducks," one friend shouted, pointing excitedly. They all gathered at the edge of the pond, watching the ducks paddle around. "I want to feed them," the girl exclaimed. She pulled out some bread from her backpack and carefully tore it into small pieces. They took turns throwing bits of bread into the water, giggling as the ducks quacked and splashed around to grab the food. After feeding the ducks, they decided to play near the playground. They raced to the swings, each trying to be the first to jump on. "I'm going to swing higher than the trees," the girl shouted as she kicked her legs back and forth, pushing herself higher and higher. Her friends cheered her on, and soon they were all swinging, laughing, and competing to see who could swing the highest. The joy of swinging made them feel as if they were flying, and they let their imaginations soar as they pretended to be birds gliding through the sky. Once they were done swinging, they ran over to the slide. "Who wants to race down?" one of the boys asked, grinning widely. Everyone agreed, and they lined up at the top of the slide. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, they all slid down at the same time, squealing with excitement as they landed in a heap at the bottom. After a few rounds of racing down the slide, they decided it was time to explore the small hill nearby. "Let's roll down it," the girl suggested. They all climbed to the top of the hill, giggling as they lay down, ready to roll. 1, 2, 3, go. They shouted in unison, tumbling down the grassy hill, their laughter echoing in the air. When they reached the bottom, they were out of breath, but filled with joy. That was so much fun. One friend said, still giggling. They lay on the grass for a moment, looking up at the blue sky, clouds floating lazily above them. Feeling refreshed, they decided to have a picnic. They spread out the blanket on the grass and took out their snacks. Everyone shared what they had brought. The cookies, fruits, and sandwiches made a colorful spread. This is the best picnic ever, the girl declared, her eyes shining with happiness. As they enjoyed their snacks, they talked about their favorite games and the fun they had at the playground. They even started to plan more adventures for the future, dreaming of all the places they wanted to explore together. After they finished eating, they decided to play a game of tag. The girl was it, and she chased after her friends, laughter filling the park as they ran in circles, dodging each other. They played until they were tired, finally collapsing on the grass, panting but still smiling. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with beautiful shades of orange and pink, they knew it was time to head home. This was such a great day, the girl said, feeling a little sad that it was ending but grateful for the fun they had together. They all promised to meet again soon for another adventure. As the girl walked home, her heart was full of joy. She thought about all the laughter, friendship, and memories they had created that day. It was a perfect reminder of how special each moment was when shared with friends, and she couldn't wait for their next adventure. The next day, the girl woke up early, filled with excitement about what was to come. She had spoken with her friends the night before, and they had planned to go on a nature walk in the nearby woods. The sun was shining brightly, and she could already hear the cheerful chirping of birds outside her window. She quickly dressed in her favorite blue shorts and a comfortable t-shirt, ready for an adventure. After a quick breakfast, she packed her backpack with water bottles, some granola bars, and a small notebook to write down anything interesting they might see. She also brought along her favorite colored pencils, just in case they wanted to draw the beautiful things they would encounter on their walk. With everything ready, she dashed out of the house and made her way to the playground where they were all meeting. When she arrived, her friends were already there, buzzing with energy. "You're here. We were just talking about all the cool things we might find in the woods," one of her friends said, bouncing on their toes. "I can't wait to see the tall trees and maybe even some animals," she replied, her heart racing with excitement. They all agreed that today would be special, filled with exploration and fun. As they set off toward the woods, they chatted about what they hoped to see. "I want to find a cool rock," one friend exclaimed. "I hope we see some squirrels," another added. The girl thought about how wonderful it would be to see all the different plants and creatures in the woods. The path led them into the shade of the trees, where the sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating beautiful patterns on the ground. It felt magical to walk among the tall trees, and they all looked around in awe. The air was fresh, and the sounds of nature surrounded them. As they walked, they started to notice little things that made the walk even more exciting. They spotted a bright red ladybug crawling on a leaf. "Look at this," the girl shouted, pointing at the tiny creature. Everyone gathered around to admire it, fascinated by its bright colors. They continued walking, and soon they found a small stream. The water sparkled as it flowed over the rocks. "Can we stop here?" one of the boys asked. "I want to see if I can skip a stone." They all agreed and spent some time by the stream, picking up flat stones and trying to skip them across the water. Laughter filled the air as some stones made it across while others sank quickly. The girl loved the sound of their laughter and felt so happy to be surrounded by her friends. After playing by the stream, they moved on, excited to see what else they could discover. They followed a narrow path and came across a small clearing filled with wildflowers of all colors. "It looks like a painting," the girl exclaimed, feeling amazed by the beauty around her. They decided to take a break there, sitting among the flowers. The girl pulled out her notebook and colored pencils, eager to draw the beautiful scene. I want to remember this day forever, she thought, carefully sketching the flowers and the tall trees around them. While she drew, her friends chatted and played nearby, picking flowers and making silly crowns to wear. Soon, they all joined her in drawing and writing about their adventure. They shared their sketches and stories, each one unique and filled with the joy of the day. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the clearing, they knew it was time to head back. They packed their things and made their way back along the path, talking about all the amazing things they had seen and done. I loved today. We should do this more often, one of her friends said. We could explore different places every time. Definitely. There are so many adventures waiting for us, the girl replied, her heart full of happiness. When they reached the playground, they all said their goodbyes, promising to meet again soon for their next adventure. The girl walked home, thinking about all the wonderful memories they had created that day. She felt grateful for the beauty of nature and the fun they had shared. That night, as she lay in bed, she thought about how lucky she was to have such great friends and to be able to explore the world around them. With a smile on her face, she drifted off to sleep, dreaming of more adventures that awaited her in the days to come. She couldn't wait to see where their next journey would take them, filled with laughter, discovery, and the joy of friendship.